old building, Bad Boy Entertainment. Man, this was the second building that we moved in. Before that, we were down the block here, 1540 Broadway, which was formerly the BMG building. Now they have, I think it's, well, Viacom was in there for a minute. I'm not sure who's in there right now, but I'm just sipping up my Jackie. It's a little nippy out here, as you can see. It's winter time here in the Northeast. This building right here was the first time I got into an argument with Rich Dollars. Shout out to Rich Dollars. And that argument with that time was about, I believe, Cassie. And Cassie is from Connecticut. I live out of Connecticut, as most of y'all know, or whatever. But I just wanted to switch the dialogue a little bit, talk about the music industry. I know a lot of you guys, y'all follow me because of the music industry, things I know about the music industry, things I don't know and are upcoming that I'm learning as I go along about the music industry, but at least from my expertise from the 17 years I was around in and dealing with the music industry in many different facets, from World TV to Jesus Christ, so rock, all flavors, all brands, from Blue Dot on. We were there at the launch, moving on. So if y'all ever saw that freaking guy from Grey Goose, and him and Puffin got into it about Ciroc versus Grey Goose, this is where he left the toilet. And I was here in the office when that happened, so I remember all that shit. He left the toilet sitting right here, and it had bottles of Ciroc in it. This was the older Grey Goose, and he left it right here in our old building. But things have changed, of course. You know, Northeast is not the same. The music business is not the same. That's definite. Everything is digital pretty much now, whatever. I wish Puff would take this shit off the building, though. And Puff, if anybody at Puff or anybody else see this, please take the name off the building. I mean, everybody knows we were here. You know what I'm saying? Let's take the note out the building. So, real quick, I just wanted to wrap up with you guys and talk to you guys about the music business, where it's going, where it's headed. To be quite honest with you guys, I might even take you over there. Right across the street is actually Def Jam Records. I'm familiar with over there too. Shout out to Shampoo and a couple other dudes I know over there. Mick Cannon, I ran into him last time I was over at that building. That was about 2 years ago now, before the pandemic started. And all of us had to change what we're doing in the music business, moving on and progressing into the future. I'm scared for the music business right now. I talk many times on here, and I talk about how a lot of these guys that are coming out as artists nowadays, a lot of these guys are expendable. You know what I mean? I guess so much of a fashion they kind of were when I was coming up too, but not at the propriety that they are now. And if you heard my earlier diatribe and I was talking about, you know, Cynthia G and all that stuff or whatever, it kind of fell into the fold of that, because a lot of these men are looked at as more expendable now because of the pure simple fact of the reciprocity in their deaths. You know, and their deaths are from all kinds of shit, you know, drugs, violence, whatever the case may be. And a lot of these CEOs, just to be quite honest with you, don't give a fuck. You know, they don't. I'll tell you honestly and truthfully, a lot of these guys that you think are head honchos and some of the biggest guys out there, in actuality, they're working up under somebody else. So, you know, you got a guy, he'll bring 4 or 5 artists or whatever. You have to pick of the litter. I've told you guys many times when I was working in the industry, I remember we had a whole box in the fucking closet room that was filled with nothing but, nah, bitch, I'm big, real big. I always love it when normal, poor, otherwise unaccomplished white folks walk past me and always got something to say. They can't just walk past and just mind their business. They got to say something to make them feel special, which really goes to show that you ain't got shit going on. But anyway, I digress. You be surprised the shit I go through when I'm filming. I have this random white people just walk past you and they feel like they can say whatever the fuck they want to say based on the simple fact that you're white. Have you not looked what's going on in this city? You can get your ass killed out here talking the wrong shit. Long story short, there was another one. Just rolling. They always have something to say, and it delves deeper than just who they are. It really goes with low self-esteem, unaccomplished shit, in a way to propel you to stay away. You ain't got me. You're too late. Already done it. Too late. So when I see all these guys, like I said before, they're coming from this Bad Boy Entertainment. And I see a lot of these damn artists that are now losing their lives, dying, and nobody gives a shit really. And I see no slowdown of there being the next artist to replace them. You know, that's the part that sticks out the most to me. There's no slow way to walk into this, and there's no real way to like avoid talking about it other than the fact of this. If these guys seem to keep going on the same trajectory that they're going on, and I'm saying this from being somebody from the music industry, it's going to implode on itself. I've already spoken about how the music industry is going to implode on itself anyway because the money is not there anymore. You know, right down the block here, like I said, we used to work at another building. It was 1540 Broadway. That was when Clive and Puff had first inked the deal for distribution, right? So we were in that building. They came from 3rd Avenue. We wasn't with them at that time. So we came in new. They had 1540 Broadway and the BMG building. We were new in it. You know what I mean? As far as the company being solidified as Bad Boy Entertainment and national and international distribution. Arista Records handled all that. So once I got into that building, I came there when the getting was good. You know what I'm saying? So I had a totally different experience than a lot of these artists now do. A lot of these artists now are already primed and already ready to go as they come into the music business. Like they already had a pre-existing flow already going. You know what I mean? Which is why you saw me. I didn't choose a record label. I didn't even choose a distribution company. I didn't even choose a title or any of that. I do everything solely on my own as far as handling of me. So if you guys would, make sure you go in the description box, purchase my single. There's also a trailer in there for my single, 24 Hours to Live. And be on the lookout for the remix of it. And I want to shout out to my man, Shem. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. Shout out to you for taking the liberty and remixing my beat. This shit is so like, whew. So you'll be getting a remix version of the song, but it'll be R&B. So, you know, the releasing a rap song to you guys, it's not even really rap, right? But releasing a rap song to you guys, I wanted to do that because many of y'all were familiar with me as an artist. Y'all were just familiar with me as a YouTube personality, familiar with me being talked about in the music industry, shit like that. So I wanted to give you guys something a little bit different. So I gave you the rap single first, and we'll follow along. We release some more. But if you guys would, please do that or donate. Stringer Bell, $80 STRINGERBELL 80. There's also a PayPal link in the description box. Shalom. I don't know what that means, but I think it's a greeting. And thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I think he was talking about a greeting. A lot of these guys nowadays that are being put into the music industry, they're being put there, not forcibly, but they're being put there and not taken care of. At one time, I remember when I was working with this particular company for the umpteen years that we had A&R guys. We had guys that would go behind these guys, and they weren't handlers, but they would make sure that these guys didn't get into stuff and shit like that or whatever. Nowadays, most of these guys are on their own. You know what I mean? Most of these guys don't have anybody looking after them. Their teams, they encourage a lot of the shit that they do. So you have a whole totally different dynamic than it was not even 5 years ago when I left. Yeah, coming up on 5 years ago now that I left the music industry. I ain't leave the music industry, but you know what I mean. I ain't with a label right now. So it's like a lot of times I feel sorry almost for these guys because one, they won't have the experience I had. Which I think was paramount in that last segue of hip hop artists. I think our time was more so paramount. I ain't gonna say my time because I'm not an old fogey by any means, but I think the time that we were coming up is very different and very differently defined than how these kids are going up now. These guys are expendable. You know what I mean? Make no doubt about it. I wish we would stop pretending. These guys are expendable. You know? Hey, Tanya Johnson, what's going on? Cedar Abraham, what's going on? Now, we just talk, man. I'm up here in my old building, Bad Boy Worldwide, Bad Boy Entertainment, of course. We used to be down the street at 1540 Broadway for the longest. That was when Clive first inked his deal with Puff. So I came out of that office. I didn't come out the office on 3rd Avenue and all that, where they were just building the company and everything like that. But this was a real step in the direction we got into this building right here, because this would have been solidified and Puff is now an international entity. You know, and I hate to say, I love to say this. This is coming after the trial and everything with Shine. We were there for all that. You know, we was out at the Jacob Javison at the court hearings. I was on ABC. I was interviewed by Sway, a couple other people. You know what I mean? So it was definitely an instrumental time going from 1540 Broadway, which I tell you is like steps from here, to go into this building right here, because this was when we had inked worldwide distribution. And so, you know, all the other companies that have subsist and come since then, You know, I don't know what Puff's doing with artists right now. As long as I know, the other two artists that are with the company right now with Epic Records is French Montana and his son. So that's the only two artists I know Bad Boy has right now. I don't know of any roster of Bad Boy Entertainment, but I'll say for myself, coming through those ranges, coming through those doors, recording at Daddy's House Studio, not even two blocks away, I think, from where I'm at. Coming from that reign of those guys, they taught us very well. You know what I mean? That's one thing I will say. They taught us very well. Shout out to June Balloon, Pop, of course, and a lot of other people that we came under their tutelage. These guys were in their 30s, 40s when we were coming in, and we were in our early 20s, teens, whatever. These guys did one thing though, they navigated us. You see what I'm saying? And they always navigated us in the right direction. We'd be out of town, and we'd be in Miami, we'd be in California, wherever we'd be at, they'd be like, look, don't have a whole bunch of loose girls up in your room, don't have these chicks up in there because they're going to say you did something to them, then we got a court case going on, you know what I mean? And we listened to that. We stayed paramount to listening to that because of pure simple fact, we knew what that could lead to. Not for only ourselves, but for the company as a whole, Bad Boy. You understand? So we were very careful to make sure that we didn't have frivolous girls all the time in our hotel rooms. We never had any complaints about some dude, you know, sexually abusing some girl. None of that happened with Bad Boy Entertainment. And if you could prove that, please come forward. None of that happened. That's one thing I will say about Puffy. Ran a tight ship as far as navigating us. These guys now that are artists, there's no navigation. It's just a free for all. They do whatever the fuck they want to. They do it how they want to. They move how they want to. The accountants are not there correctly. The money is slipping soon and quickly, even more so right now in this pandemic stage that we're at right now. And I think that maybe it might be a possible time to reintroduce the A&R, if not in a different aspect. Because what you're going to see continuing on is more and more of these kids, and they're all different colors, black, white. Mac Miller was white. He died of a drug overdose. You get what I'm saying? So you're seeing kids from all different backgrounds in the hip-hop industry, in the rock industry, in the pop industry. All three of them are combined. Don't give a fuck what nobody says. Rappers party with pop stars. Tell me I'm lying. Rappers party with pop stars party with rap stars. This is the way it goes. We're all one circle. So everybody's participating in this. It's no different than back with the Grateful Dead when they were doing it. It's no different than back in any type of period and time period where the music industry itself as a whole has existed and people have been within it and it had drugs and money and you get what I'm saying? Where it's been profitable. One of the sad things about a lot of these artists that are coming up right now is the fact that a lot of these old ass men, yes I said these old ass men, are taking advantage of them, treating them like whores on the block. You boys have got to get a little bit more keen on your business sense. That's one thing Puff taught us. The second thing that you guys have got to get a little bit more keen on is these old ass men that you got around you that will be and tell you anything. Most of all, be real cautious of when you get a guy that's like 50, 60 years old and he's still talking that hood booger shit. You know what I mean? I don't care what color they are. There's a lot of old white men that do that shit too, you know. Been out here shucking and chugging for years. Ain't did shit, you know what I mean? You ain't did nothing, nothing, you know what I'm saying? But what about your legacy? You know, so these are a lot of the guys that are navigating these young guys in the music industry right now. I a lot of times see guys like WAP 100. I saw him on there arguing with a little ass girl that looked like she's about 21 years old. Y'all left out the story. That little girl been involved in all kinds of videos and all kinds of shit. I forgot what her name is, but you're letting anybody up around you. That's my point here. You're letting anybody up around you in the music industry that says they know a little bit about the music industry. And many times these guys don't know shit about our industry. They don't know anything about it. They can't tell you the mechanics and going into marketing. They can't tell you the mechanics going into, you know, what the fiscal year may bring trajectory-wise or currently. These guys don't know anything about the music industry. What they're doing is they're coming in and they're guessing. They got a friend, a cousin, or whatever. And I'm not talking about people, and I can't even add Deb Atney into this, because Deb Atney and what she did with Waka Flocka Flame, her brother was in the music industry. He worked right up the street right here at Def Jam with them for a minute. I'll take y'all over there to a minute too, but this right here is what I'm from. I wish Puff would take the fucking sign off the building. I'll say that again. Take the fucking sign off the building, Puff. But This is my memories. This is where at one time we thought we were on top of the world. And many of these artists, they feel like that, and it comes to a home. You know, it used to be times we'd go into clubs, we'd go to appearances or whatever. They'd be like, oh shit, Bad Boy up in here, Def Jam up in here, whatever. We got the bottles, we got women behind us, beautiful women from fucking everywhere. You know, that's why I tell people, don't talk to me about fucking women. I've had with German, Turkish, you name it, German, Turkish, Israeli, African. I've been around all kinds of beautiful women, models and all kinds of shit like that. That shit doesn't impress me. Any other car you could think of. What we talking about? Lamborghini, Maserati. What do you want to talk about? You know how much it costs to maintenance a Lamborghini. Most of them can't even tell you that. We did all that shit for damn near 2 decades of my life. That's all I knew was that type of lifestyle. And now I'm in a regular lifestyle now. It's cool. I like it. But I got to give back somehow. And if I continue letting these young black boys and black girls get raped by a lot of people that are black and Latin in the industry, well, what good would I be, right? Your big cousin Davin is gonna give you kids a couple scoops. So when you go to become a music artist or set out to get a deal, you'll know what the fuck and what not the fuck to do. Especially with some of these slick really motherfuckers you're gonna come and encounter, whether they be white or black. The ones at the top tier will be a mixture of black and white. You gotta watch out for the older ones that are like 50, 60 years old because of pure simple fact they're trying to cash out. See, at this point now it's about legacy. There's a lot of them. They'll lock in deals. I try to like this cheap ass cigarette. They'll lock you into deals for 6 or 7 years. What's going on, Vegas? Tanya Johnson, what's going on? A lot of these guys, they'll lock you in deals. And everybody, thank you. And make sure y'all hit those like buttons if you're just joining in. A lot of these guys, they'll lock you into deals. And these deals will go for 10, 15, 20 years, okay, before they subside. What I mean is, they'll sign you into a deal, right? And contractually, you're obligated to give, let's say, 5 different projects, right? Out of those 5 projects, the span of the project can go anywhere from the due date from 1.5 years to 2 years, more of a prosody now. And nowadays, they want to probably within 6 to 7 months, at least a new single. At the very least, a single. We're living in a singles market anyway. So at the very least, they want a single, okay? If you don't deliver not only a single, but a hit single, then you run into another problem because now they're going to start complaining about the marketing that they may attribute it to your project or the time they may attribute it to it, right? So that incurs you more money that you're not responsible for. These things keep adding up and 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 adding up until you have more and more and more and more of a tab. Okay? Now that tab is not fulfilled until your residuals come in. Now those residuals come in maybe every 3-4 months, depending on how your deal is. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that. Sometimes it's every 6 months. So as your residuals are coming in and you owe that tab, you know, those expensive ass fucking plane rides, you want to ride first class, so you really got it on the motherfucking whistle name. You know, you want to stay at the W. Fuck the DoubleTree. I want to stay at the W. I want the junior suite. You know what I mean? And make sure I incur everything from lobster tail to every fucking thing else while I'm here to make my stay the most comfortable it possibly can be. And then you bring your raggedy ass back to the tri-state with the dirt with the rest of us. And you forget about that extra lobster tail you had. You forget about that junior suite you had at the W. You forget about all that shit, the car ride, all that shit, right? So now you get back and the company's like, well, you know what? You spent roughly about $120,000 this year on plane rides. Well, you got to pay a portion of that back. The company will incur some of the costs. They'll look at it as travel costs or whatever. But if you're not itemizing everything, the IRS is coming after that ass. Oh, yeah, they coming. You don't want them motherfuckers. Trust me. They stay forever. They're like herpes. The gift that keeps on giving. So when you get into it with the IRS, they monitor every bank statement, everything else from that point on once they're involved. They're already monitoring it anyway, but now it's even more imposed now that you had a prior case, okay? This is a federal thing. You can't get around it. Don't try it. this is where a lot of these young artists, black, white, Spanish, whatever, are going. And not even 5-10 years ago, they wouldn't have had that problem. And a lot of these guys are not telling them, and they're running them into the fucking ground using them. You're using these guys. Be honest with you. You old ass motherfuckers that are now 50, 60 years old. Some of them we used to work for. You motherfuckers are trying to cash out. I know the feeling. I'm trying to cash out. Well, I ain't trying to cash out. I just created a new product. Make sure y'all go cop my single right now. It's available in the description box. There's also a trailer accompanying to it. Make sure y'all cop that single. This is true independent. I come from Bad Boy Entertainment. I come from record companies for 17 years. This is my first venture out, selling my own, being responsible for my own, and I hope that y'all will respect that and purchase a single. If not, make sure you donate $STRINGERBELL80. You can find that at Cash App. Also, there's a subscription link in the box for PayPal. Be in the fucking holiday spirit here. I do a lot of work here. And thank you once again, TMH Global, because once I get donations, I show what I do. I'm broadcasting on a new phone, so that's why I said, let me wait and go down to NYC so I can really give these guys something and give them something to offer to them as far as like not only giving back, but also giving you guys a better perception. We're streaming at 4K at 60 frames now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very happy about that. Hey, what's going on, your girl? The old Bad Boy office. That's right, Kareem Smith. What's going on, brother? Kareem a good dude, man. What's going on? So a lot of these guys, these older guys, they're trying to cash out. They're using these kids, and basically, you won't see the residuals that they're taking from these kids right now and immediately, but they will see it projectionally in the future. The same thing goes for a lot of these artists that are dying. A lot of these artists that are passing away, they were still locked contractually into obligations. So they had to deliver a third, fourth, fifth album, whatever. A lot of these companies are going to maintain ownership as far as production. They're going to maintain ownership as far as a lot of things with these companies, with these artists, former artists, and their families. You understand? I've heard many times, reiterated 1,000,001 times, a lot of these artists, when they're dead, they're actually worth more money than they are alive, which is the case with Michael Jackson, which is the case with Prince. I've met Prince before, formerly at the 1540 Broadway building. He was an artist of Clive Davis for many of a moment. This was at the point where Prince had the slave stuff cut into his beard. He was protesting. He went right over to Arista Records over in our building. Let me tell you something, man. I think it's a shame that a lot of these older guys are not only taking advantage of these young artists, which the music business has always been that. Back in the 70s, Clive Davis was brought into court because he was accused of bringing his artists drugs and all kinds of shit or whatever. So let's not sit here in front and act like drugs has always not been the culture. Alcoholism has not always been the culture. Motherfuckers in debt, stealing from other people that are rich has not always been the culture, because it has. It has. And everybody, no matter how much you fake it, no matter how much you pretend, it's being exposed now because we're here online. So I'm trying to soften the fall to all my music brethren. I'm trying to soften the fall here a little bit. A lot of these old guys that are in the music industry, you're trying to live and relive times that are gone, okay? You are not OG such and such anymore. I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but a lot of these guys, via the notoriety that Suge Knight had with Death Row, they decided they can make the implement and a jump from the street into the music business. One of the biggest fucking problems that ever happened. One of the biggest problems that ever happened. Because now you have regular guys getting into the music industry and thinking they know the ins and outs of guys that have been there 10, 15, 20 years. When I first got at Bad Boy, one of the things I had to realize later on in life as I got older was I'm with a company which actually the people in the company are learning as they go along, and they're learning from the constituents of Clive Davis, who has been in the industry 25, 30, 40 years at the time. Clive had been around at CBS Records and a couple other places since like the late 1960s. You know what I mean? So, right, what's going on? That's why independent is the best. And that's why I'm going in, that's why I went independent. And I try to promote more people to buy my single. Please buy my single. You know what I'm saying? It's right down below in the description box. I also have a link for PayPal and Stringer app, $ Stringer Bell 80 or whatever. I do this because, you know what I'm saying, I love doing it for one, but two, it has to be profitable for me too. So guys, I saw Cynthia G sit there and talk about young black man like a dog yesterday or whatever. And she got well over probably $2,000 in donations. That's why she was able to afford a house. So do the same for me, that's all I'm asking. So long story short, guys, a lot of these older guys or whatever that are in the music industry, they taking advantage of these young boys. They take not only advantage of them, they're taking money that's going to be coming to them after their death. Now, if you dig deep into it and you look at contractually the last, let's say 30 artists in this past year that died, dig deep into what their contracts were and see how in depth they were still owing whoever said such record company after their death. So for example, if they owed the record company 3 albums at the minimum after their death, and the record company had given them advance for, let's say, $3 million, $4 million, whatever their wealth was at the time, well, the company is now out of that worth. So now they're going to try to find a way to recoup the money that they have lost, unfortunately, because of this artist's death. Does that make sense? So this artist is dead now, so you can't see any residuals off him other than the reissuing of his works or final works. Now, whether that be a remix, a piece of things together from unused vocals, whatever the case may be, that's how they're gonna put it together. You see what I'm saying? Now, sad is unfortunate, but that's how they're gonna do it. Now, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it like this, but it's the way the fucking cookie crumbles when you sign these contracts with these guys. Now, guys, I'm gonna tell you this as upcoming artists, the best way to go nowadays is be independent first. I'm doing it. And then once the money is there, the generation is there, the fandom is there, whatever, then you may want to consider getting with a company. But in 2021 beyond, it's no reason to get with a company. I'm doing it by myself to set the precedence, and I need my 7,000 plus motherfucking followers to fall in line. I could have been, you know what I'm saying? Show these motherfuckers today, hey, you can do it independently. And that's what I'm trying to show a lot of my former constituents. That, hey, I don't need a record label. I can do it by myself. And that's what more you young boys and people that are veteran artists as well need to start doing. That's the only way you're going to stop the music industry, is do the shit on your own. Now, there's one backup to that is, and the one downfall to that is this. If you do this, you're going to see a perplexity of a lot of more artists and a lot more and more artists as year and year goes by. They're going to try to implement the same thing. It's going to be one problem. You're going to get a flood of the market. You're going to get a flood of the market. That can work and it can work against you. Wow, what's it? I got you. Thank you, Miss Madge. I appreciate y'all, man. Everybody, anybody. $ STRINGERBELL 80. I just want to say this real quick, right? Many people know, and I don't hide it, I had a horrible time during the pandemic. You know, it made me leave this city and I had to go back to Connecticut. And I'm not mad about that. I'm only 30 minutes away and this is still my town. You know what I mean? But one of the things that I found was a lot of people will come in now, and I'm glad, I forgot who it was, but it was one of my followers that checked her. I'm not sure who it was, but she actually checked her. And I'm glad that she did that. And the reason I'm glad that she did that was because of the pure simple fact that a lot of times, hold on one second, guys. You guys might get down the view here. Yeah, thanks. One of the things that I hate about a lot of people that are in the music industry is the pure simple fact that a lot of times these guys will be the ones, not the music industry, a lot of these people that come from different formats like Cynthia G and other places, they will sit there and they will try to point fingers at people that are in rough situations as if they're better than them. You understand what I'm saying? This is New York City. Now we have our pompous assholes here and wannabes and whatever else. There's a lot of wannabes in the city. Everybody will come to Midtown Manhattan and act like they're the shit. And then when they go home, you will see they'll go home to a fucking hovel. You understand? The same falls in fruition when you're talking about a lot of these people that come on my page and talk about, oh, ain't he homeless and da. Bitch, it's on my page. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally took you through a tour of being homeless and I wasn't ashamed of it because I had spent literally the past 17 years of my life living better than most people ever will in their entire fucking life. You understand what I'm saying? My little 17 years of experience, most people in their whole entire life won't have that experience. And I'm grateful for that experience, and I'm grateful that Puff and many other people, Hard Pierre, and all the other, who else? Hemrock, Rome, and a lot of other people that took me across the goddamn country, literally. I appreciate it. I've been everywhere you could think of. And like I said, people that are 3-4 times my age will never have the experience. So I'm lucky. The guys I worked with were lucky. With all that being said, when somebody comes in, and the reason I said what I said earlier, when somebody comes into my live or comes into my chat room and has a problem with me defending young black and Latin boys, and a woman sitting online talking about young boys should be aborted, they should be aborted, I say otherwise. I ain't got no kids, but when I do have a son, I want to know that my son and his friends, like I'm looking at these little young boys right here, they out here riding bikes and shit. I used to do that shit when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? I had a red line, all that shit. Mongoose too. And mongoose cost my mama like $600. You ain't getting nothing else for Christmas either, motherfucker. When I have a son, I don't want the influences of Cynthia G to be burdened on my son. I don't want the influences of Cynthia G or people like her to be burdened on my son or daughter if they move into the music industry, media, whatever the case may be, because now people think that they can fuck them over because of their men in the culture. Does that make sense to you? Well, that's the mentality that a lot of people have. I'm better than you because I'm online and I'm typing comments. Nobody knows your lifestyle. Nobody knows your background. Nobody knows your work history. Only thing they do is jump on, and I got a degree from so-and-so. Bitch, all we know, you went to DeVry University. You went to DeVry University, you local college motherfucker. So, when somebody come on my page and say, "Oh, ain't you homeless?" like they did today, I could give a fuck less. I could give a fuck less. That's why I talk the way I talk. People think that I talk just like this on camera. I talk like this in the office building, and I had white men that were way higher tier than the average white man that's walking around. Let me tell you something. The average white man walking around, white women will even say he's unaccomplished. White women will say it. I'm gonna always keep grinding. Thank you, Juan Perez. I appreciate that, man. Y'all ain't see that? I keep going. I've been through everything. So when you jump up on here and talk about, oh, ain't he homeless? Bitch, I told you. I was. And I'm not ashamed of it. It's actually a story play, which many of y'all don't even understand, but I know how to market things and I know how to sell things, and the story itself is worth money. Peace. What's going on, Eyes Vision? Long time, man. Thank you for showing up. A lot of these guys, like I said once again, that are in the music business are using these guys for future revenue. They're cashing out on these guys because they know exactly like I know, this fucking business of ours ain't got no money in it no more. When you add in all the streaming networks, when you add in all the fucking everything else, this right here, BADBOY Entertainment, where I come from, it's like this.
But
it's like that. It's like that in Spectrum now. And the reason it is because the money has been deduced. I'm gonna say it for you one more again. The money has been deduced. You wanna understand what I'm talking about? I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm talking about. Right down the street right here used to be a place called Virgin Records, okay? There was another place here called Tower Records. I used to walk into Virgin Records, and I could walk into Virgin Records, and throughout the back doors I could walk out Virgin Records, because Virgin Records was part of BMG, Bertelsmann Music Group, which is a German group. I used to walk through those doors and walk into my office. Literally. All right? Now, when I walked into that building, there was all kinds of faces up in there. Get no mistake about it. But a lot of them artists in there, they didn't know where their futures were headed. A lot of these artists you don't see anymore. A lot of these artists, they're stuck in the contracts for the next 10 or 15 years because the companies that they were signed to, whether they be production companies or whatever, have decided to exist. But more importantly, with Virgin Megastore, those were the last years that you could go into an actual music store and buy a double disc CD for $18. It was the last time that you could go in and have to buy a physical entity, and I mean a physical entity versus a digital entity that you, which is readily available today. This was the last time that you could actually go in and buy a CD disc for $9.99, $12.99, however much the artist was worth. When it changed was the first time, and I said this before, and I'll say it again for y'all that are new here. There was a group of guys that had a company together called Napster, right? And when they had Napster got brought under all these congressional hearings because they said they were doing file sharing and stealing. Now, when they were doing file sharing, one of the things that they said about Napster was they were doing it illegally, which they were. It's illegal file sharing. I got Sony Vegas on one of the file sharing fucking sites. Sony Vegas was roughly about $1,300 for the max. If you want the real version of Sony Vegas, you're paying $1,300 for 3 discs. 3 discs that gonna take you damn near a day to install. Now, once you got those discs in and you got them installed and you paid your $1,300, good luck to you. You got now have another 6 or 7 months to figure out how to use this motherfucking software. You understand? Now, let me tell y'all something interesting real quick about Napster. After all that they did to Napster, I say not even 2 to 3 years later, here comes Steve Jobs, RIP to Steve Jobs. Get out the street. Here comes Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs turns around and implements the same goddamn technology that Napster just formerly did with iTunes and the iTunes store. It was the same fucking thing that Napster was doing, but Steve Jobs made legality of it and made money off of it. And I applaud him. RIP to the man. The man's a fucking maverick, if anything. Now, this is the funny thing. The funny thing about all this shit is that one move that Steve Jobs copied from Napster now turned into a profitable business, but a profitable business that nevertheless did one thing. And that one thing, please get out of my camera. Can you please get out of my camera?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Stop trying to start shit. Thanks.
Trying to start shit?
Keep talking. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah, it's your stream.
Keep talking. Keep talking. I asked you to get out of my camera view, and you're over here starting shit. Now I can go over here and get these guys, and they can all jump on you. You keep talking. Keep talking. You did. You stood right behind me. The whole camera reflects it. All right. Take your dickhead ass on down the block. You bag. All right. Y'all saw that cracker too, right? Trying to start some shit. Keep talking. That's the common unaccomplished white man for you. You have to start calling about that's an unaccomplished white man. Y'all saw that just as well as I did. He could and stood right in front of my camera so he could intentionally start some shit. That's how a lot of them do it. Then when you say something to them, oh my God, how dare you? Fuck you, you unaccomplished fucking fuck. Guys, I'll throw this in real quick. Stop letting unaccomplished white men fool you, okay? When I worked at 1540 Broadway, there were so many white guys that were in there that were nobodies, okay? And they were put on this pretending fucking storyline that they were somebody that they weren't, all right? And I'd be like, okay. And now they got the little Indian guys, they got the little Asian guys, their pets doing the same thing. And for y'all two, I will bust your motherfucking ass, you fucking fucks. Now anyway, a lot of these guys that you see, I'm not worried about that shit, but a lot of these guys that you see nowadays that are running the helms of the music business, they know exactly the same thing that I know, which is this. The music business itself is collapsing on itself. And I mean the work and the money that it once was is not there anymore. Okay? It's just not there anymore. So now you're seeing these guys and they're streaming or whatever, and it's all of them. Taylor Swift, Pharrell, all the big names, Kanye, you name it, are now removing their music from streaming or streaming filters because of pure simple fact there's nothing but nickels on the dime for it. Nickels on the dime. You know what I mean? So meaning that the average artist sees about 5 to 10 cents per stream. If you're a mega artist, somebody like a Jay, somebody like a Kanye West, somebody like that, you see real money. You're not seeing the same money that you saw 10 years ago when we were at 1540 Broadway, when they had Virgin Megastore here, when they had Tower Records. You're not seeing the same revenue any longer. And that's the pinpoint of why the music business is reducing the way it is. And projectionally, I would say anywhere between 2024, 2025, you're going to really see how much it has actually affected the music business and how actually it's so worth so little money that the only avenues that you do have in the music industry right now, and why so many people lost so much money during the pandemic, was because of pure simple fact you couldn't tour any longer. This goes for comedians, this goes for artists, this goes for production sets that were filming, they had to shut down. For example, the Avengers movies, a lot of them were delayed, MCU movies were delayed because of production problems. Because now these production companies couldn't produce because of pure simple fact there was nowhere to do it at. Everything was shut down. So the same thing with artists. All the venues were shut down. So they took a hit. So a lot of these people you saw, they were buying Bentleys, they were buying new cars, they were going on trips and shit during the pandemic. They were doing it off residual checks that were already owed to them, most of them. And a few of them had some dollars saved up, I give it to them. But as far as some new sales increased because of boredom, but as far as the real bread and butter touring, it was a wrap. Some of these artists have still not toured to the complexity that they were touring not even 2 years ago. So when y'all sit there and give this imagery, you're doing the same thing we used to do back in the day. You're fucking what's the name and fronting and flaunting like you're getting it. Same thing when we were leasing cars, leasing mansions. It's all a fraud, some of it. And then some of it's real. Some of it's real. Some of these guys, they own that shit. But the majority of them, it's fraud. And you keep on continuing that fraud until you absolutely have not a goddamn dime left. Until you have not a damn dime left. And then now you're a prowler on the artists that you have. You're a prowler on old artists that you had. You're a prowler on old ventures that you have with old partners, etc., etc., etc. The music business is fumbling and it's falling, and people are sitting back and they're fucking pretending that it's not. And I'm here to tell you, projectionally, the way I perceive it, 2024 to 2025, it's just going to be a wrap. Not a wrap totality-wise, but it's going to be a wrap as far as probability-wise. And you guys are going to have to find new avenues, and that's when you're going to find out who's talented and who the fuck's not. It'll go back to the same dynamic it once was. It was based on talent, and now, for some reason, it's based on productivity. Who can cookie cut a song quicker than anybody else? And most of them can. Not a good one anyway. This is what it is. So guys, I just wanted to have that talk about that. If you got any questions in here, I want to hear them, any of them. Y'all laughing at me when I was cussing that dude out, y'all crazy. Yeah, because a lot of, you guys really want me to talk about that? Listen, I've worked with some of the highest echelons of white people you could think of, okay? Like people that literally wouldn't even have silly little conversations like that. And one thing I learned from an older white man that was very wealthy was he was telling me, never worry about when somebody walks past you and does some gesture or something like that, because usually it's an inadequacy that they're obtained. You know, some inadequacy has prompted them to do that. And sometimes this pure, simple obnoxiousness comes along with it. I always question when I say shit like this. I ask people all the time, well, how much are you worth? How much are you worth? And when you ask the question of how much you're worth versus how much bravado that you have, you get a totally different answer. And that's when you get to the point of someone that's unaccomplished versus someone that's accomplished. So that's why, So that's why I sit there and I act the way I acted with that guy. You walked right into my camera, stood there and stared, and you were hoping to get a reaction out of me, and it wasn't the reaction that you wanted. So, hey, what are you gonna do? I don't argue with guys like that or whatever, because at the end of the day, I just would have dropped him. That's what he was headed to. He didn't realize he would have got dropped right there in front of Bad Boy. That would have been monumental. Any questions, any of you guys, anything that you want to think about or whatever, ask me right now. I know a lot of you guys have questions about the music industry. A lot of times, a lot of these questions I can't answer. A lot of times I can't answer them. You know what I mean? But I try my best to. What are some good books for beginners to understand the fiscal aspect of the music industry? There are no good books to actually understand the fiscal, what's the name of the industry? To be honest with you, it's experience. You know, it's experience. It's experience. These kids out here are crazy, man. I love kids like that. Because we all done shit when we were kids. Everybody out here is like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Da, da, da. You live in New York. Y'all stop fucking with their logo. That's how you do it right there, though. They're beeping the horn at these kids and there's a fucking red light. Like, where are you going? You know what I mean? A lot of times, man, you get people in. What's going on, boys? All right. A lot of times you get these guys in here that try to give you a blueprint to the music industry, right? There ain't no blueprint to it. It really ain't. You just gotta learn the shit. You just gotta learn the shit. And if you don't learn it, what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna let you guys see what I'm talking about. So you guys, I know you think it's like I'm bugging. You see all these guys with mic? Yeah, heard? Y'all get a camera shot as y'all riding off, man. All right, bike boys right here. They ain't into nothing. They just out here having fun. Having fun like kids do. Bike boys right here. It's a whole troop of them too. They just having fun. I know you guys are wondering, where's all that noise coming from? Some boys out here riding their bikes, man. I don't give a fuck about you riding your bike. You ain't out here bothering nobody. Just fucking around like any other kids. There's no real books to give advice as far as like what's in turn the best approach in the music business. I think it's really about you and what works for you. There's no like blueprint as far as like getting in anymore. You know, and the internet has kind of like made that pertinent in its own way. They'll tell you what they will accept. They'll tell you we'll cancel you. They'll tell you we're not fucking with this person anymore. They did something we didn't like, so we're going to cancel them. This is the ideology of the internet. So there's really no blueprint manner anymore to tell you, hey, this is the way to do this. This is the way to do that. I wish I could. If I wanted to point you to somebody to read, I would tell you to read 50 Cent's book. I would definitely tell you to read 50 Cent's book. 50 Cent's book, both of them, give you the biggest introduction. I'll even go as far as to say this. 50's 50 Laws of Power book, I think, will give you a better introduction into getting into the music industry than any other material out there, because it's honed honestly, and 50 in reality comes from basically the times that I do. What, you know, 50 Cent went through 4 different deals before he got the real deal with Eminem and Dre. So he went through 4 different deals, and that's what I was talking about. I was mentioning earlier. Sometimes you can go through a couple of companies, they're giving you a check, and a lot of times these companies at some time or another, they're like, yo, we want our money. And that's hard to fulfill if you're dead. So now the responsibility falls on your family, and the residuals from your points, which is a point system, is now taken. You understand? In some form of fluctuation. I don't know. It depends on the percentage-wise or whatever. I can't really explain to you where I was here at Bad Boy, because each artist had their own point, their own system, their own management, their own lawyers. You know what I mean? So they worked out whatever they did in the language as far as tangibles and clauses and the language within the contractual agreements. So I don't know. I would have to specifically know each one of them in detail. I would have to comb it down. I would have to know specific legal talk. You know what I mean? To really define what they're into. But the average artist nowadays, I would say, they're not in the same length as artists were before. I think the average artist today probably is in a lengthy, what they would consider a lengthy contract is 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? And that's on a single-based market. That's not on a market based off of an album. I think the album-based market is now based on what your singles can fulfill. You understand what I'm saying? So if you have a trajectory of singles that have, I don't know, you've got a trajectory of singles and maybe like 7 of them have went pop, you know, and they popped off, then majority of the time, now the company will come and offer you some type of deal, package deal, singles deal, which they give most artists nowadays. They give a lot of artists singles deals, you know what I mean? And you can work a single literally for a year. You can work a single for a year. I will continue working 24 hours to live for the next couple of months, you know? So you guys make sure y'all go down below and grab that single. There's a trailer for it and everything else. Other than that, any other questions anybody might have? I see now. Appreciate you, David. Thank you, brother. Yeah, there's no real blueprint anymore, Juan Perez. Excuse me, I don't want to say your name right. Juan Perez. There's no blueprint anymore. It's really, there's no book you can read. Like I said, the closest thing that I would tell you and suggest to you is 50 Cent's book. But other than that, there's really no blueprint any longer. Not like it used to be. No. Anybody else got any questions or whatever? As far as me, I can give you some examples of myself. Right now, the way I have my shit set up, you can buy my single on PayPal. So just go down below, guys, just click it or whatever. That money comes to me. It's very small increments they charge you to disperse the money to you, which is very different from like a lot of these streaming agencies. A lot of these streaming agencies, they're taking damn near 30 to 40%. I don't do super chats. A lot of people ask me why I don't do super chats, but I don't do super chats because Google, once again, they take a percentage of your motherfucking earnings. Google takes, I think, damn near with the super chats, it's something like 30 to 40% of what you take in. Meaning that if you donate $100 to me, I actually only get about $75 to $80. I'm not going to make Google more motherfucking rich than they already off on my face. And on top of that, Google doesn't allow me to monetize here. So I don't get any money on all these numbers that y'all see. I get not a fucking dime out of it. But yet and still, Google, who owns YouTube, will still run ads through my shit. Yeah. So, that's why I need support of the people or the culture or hip hop industry or whatever. I'm gonna start reaching out to a lot of my industry friends and being like, hey, have you bought my single? See where that gets me. But guys, please be encouraged to buy the single. If there are not any more questions, I'm gonna move over to another spot. Give y'all a couple little stories or whatever. I know this whole area right here very well. Literally, my whole music career was spent in this area. You know what I mean? Literally. Hey, David, just tuning in. Hey, Antoine King, what's going on? I just came up here to the old office up here at Bad Boy Entertainment Worldwide. This was the second building that we were actually in after leaving 1540 Broadway at the BMG building, which is Roseman Music Group. We were in here for probably like 3, 4, maybe 5 years, somewhere around there. A lot of incidents happened here. I just saw Big Face Gary from Rockefeller Records. He just ended the interview. Shout out to Big Face Gary. He just did an interview with Miss Jones. I'm gonna tell y'all a real story about Miss Jones. And Miss Jones, if I'm wrong, come correct me on this. In this building right here, when we first moved in here, on the bottom floor, on that right-hand door right there, when you walked in, there always used to be a security guard there, right? And when you walked in right there, also another person that used to be there was this person, Keisha Combs, which is Puff's sister. Okay, and she was there a couple of times. And Keisha, if you don't know her, Keisha's got a real stern look on her. Real dark-skinned sister. Never had a problem with her. Spoke to her. Never had an issue. So shout out to Keisha Combs. But this is Puff's sister, and so her and I guess some of the other staff, because at the time Miss Jones worked for Hot 97, so she came and muddled her ass over here looking for that scoop. You know what I'm saying? And I almost didn't recognize you when I seen you on Big Face Gary's show, Miss Jones. You look different a little bit. What's going on? Type of slippers popping. So she came into the office here, and she got into it with Keisha Combs. What's going on? All right now, she got into it with Keisha Combs. And so this shit made the whole Hot 97 for the next 3 days. That's all they were talking about. And so Miss Jones said, I went to the Bad Boy office and I was treated unfairly, and I gotta agree with her. Because I witnessed that shit, you know what I mean? And it was crazy. But that's a story. I don't know if she told it on Big Face Gary's show, but I wish you would have told that story, because there used to be audio circulating from that, and it was actually on YouTube for the longest. I think Miss Jones or somebody, maybe perhaps from Hot 97, are now owned by Iheart, who used to formerly be MS Communications. I think that they might have had it ripped off. You know, you can do a search, you can hire these companies on the internet, they'll remove shit for you. You know what I mean? Do a whole sweep of YouTube, you got videos on it, you don't want nobody to see, they'll sweep them. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, it's crazy. I gotta say one thing, right? Y'all saw what I saw, the kids riding the bikes and everything like that. I'm cool with that. The only thing I have a problem with and I find weird is when you get cocky men that are like 35 and over riding a goddamn bike. All right, brother, I know you're doing your job, but don't be a cocky person riding a bike over 35. I'm looking at you, look like a toddler to me. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of men in the tri-state area riding bikes. You know what I'm saying? I understand y'all delivering y'all food, I respect it and everything like that, but don't be cocky riding the bike. You look like a toddler. Where your book bag at? You gotta have a book bag. I don't know. I just got this thing. I can't. It's not that I can't respect you. I don't know. I just look at you weird when you're over 35 and you're riding a motherfucking bike out of leisure. I'm like, well, you need a book bag too? How about a sippy cup? And then you got like, you got bravado and you're cocky riding the bike. I'm like, listen, bro, I don't ride bikes, bro. All right, I don't ride bikes. I don't got no grown friends that ride bikes either. Sorry about that. Yeah, you know I got a cracking joke. Y'all, if you live in the tri-state area, you know what I'm talking about. Lots of money was made there. Lots of history in that building. Definitely. I'll tell y'all another one. If you guys are just tuning in, the owner of Grey Goose, right? I don't know if y'all remember this, but y'all can look up this story. I remember when this happened because I was at the office that day when it happened. It was hilarious. The owner of Grey Goose and Puffy got into it. So right here on this corner right here, y'all can't see it, but right directly on this corner, the owner of Grey Goose had a guy pull up in one of these Suburbans just like this. He gets out the car and he puts a toilet in the middle of the street and it's filled with Ciroc. This is when we first launched Ciroc. Blue Dot was exactly what it was. And we had first released Ciroc or whatever. So it was in the streets and it was heavy. It was everything. Like, I'm a Ciroc boy. I'm an official Ciroc boy, meaning like launch, theory, idea of the product, everything. I was there. So we're the original Ciroc boy. There is no other Ciroc boys than us. There have been guys, many of y'all know, that have gotten cease and desist letters from freaking Puff and the lawyers and everybody else for having parties and saying they were Ciroc. You're not one of us, so stop doing that shit. If you live in Pocahontas, Nebraska, Pembroke, Nebraska, wherever. But me, Rome, Mayor, all of us, we the original Uptown, we the only Ciroc boys, official from Bad Boy Entertainment. But it was funny as hell because the owner of Grey Goose, he put all those bottles of Ciroc in a toilet and left it sitting right here in the middle of the thing. And not only did the New York Daily News pick it up, but many different outlets picked up the story. It was just hilarious. It was fun. It was friendly competition. The competition boosted sales, evidently. And it was a fun time, man, you know? So it's a lot, not only history with this building. For me, it's sentimental because, you know what I mean? It's my history. But in this building, if I have to say anything about Puff, this was the monumental moment as far as Bad Boy Entertainment is concerned in this building. Because now international attention had been centered on the company. You get what I'm saying? And I was so proud to be there. I remember when we first moved into this building, I was like, yo, we ain't at that building no more. We up the street. I said, where? Yo, we up here by the Late Show. I said, oh shit. You know what I mean? We were really hyped up, man. So yeah, it was a great time, man. And like I tell you guys all the time, N. I don't know what N means. But if you want to write that over, House Whiter or whatever the name is, N. I don't know what that means. But maybe he's calling me a nigga. Who cares? Who cares? I never worry about unaccomplished white men. There's many things I worry about in this world, but an unaccomplished white man isn't one of them. You understand? I tell a motherfucker like I tell you, if you haven't ever made $100,000 at least, at the very least in your life, in 1 year, don't get in a conversation with me about money. I will embarrass you. And if you don't have a current stock portfolio, definitely don't get in a conversation with me. A lot of pretending going on out here in these streets nowadays. That's one thing my dad and my mom told me. Never get caught up in that pretending shit. People will pretend that they got things together, pretend that they live in a good life, pretend or whatever, but then when that reality kicks in, like that gentleman riding that bike acting like he a fucking gangster, when reality kick in on you, you realize you're like that gentleman out here in the motherfucking cold riding a goddamn bike while you scuttling people around. Now, I'm not making fun of that gentleman, but don't look at people like you're better than them. That's why I say you gotta really look at that dynamic of when you're looking at people and thinking you're better than them. What are we basing your merits on? Yeah, I'm really confused about that because I had people in my live earlier, I guess from Cynthia G's camp, right? And during Cynthia G's camp, they always talk about money this, money that. They was talking about Cynthia G just bought a new house. I mean, if you buy a house in Seattle, I mean, what is it setting you back? $120,000, $200,000. The average house where I live at in Connecticut, especially in Greenwich and Old Greenwich and Stamford, the basic house is going to start you out at 2.3. We just had a home sale by what's the name? I think it was Haddam for $50 million. okay? Nobody that makes money lives in New York. If you make money, you either live out where I live at or you live in fucking South Jersey somewhere. And they definitely not moving to fucking Seattle, all right? Seattle is one of the worst cities in the nation. No wonder that broad talks like that anyway, because Seattle, let me tell you something about Seattle. I've been out to Seattle before, all right? First of all, it's a shit-ass city. Let's start there, okay? It's a shit-ass city. It's shitty people there. The people that are there, they're old school liberals, upcoming socialists, and more importantly enough, unexperienced. But will give you the most integrity to tell you they know everything about everything. Okay? These same people that are out there in Seattle right now were some of the same people responsible for taking the Black Lives Matter emblem and making it into an Antifa-based organization, which it is in design and catered to today. You understand? Don't make no mistakes about it. That's what that shit is. When I get people to come in my live, like Cynthia G's following and all them other motherfuckers that came in there, one thing they can't step away from is this. Shorty, there's nothing you can say to me, absolutely nothing, about your punk ass degrees you got from Divine University. I went to college. I'm not an unaccomplished man. I worked for a fucking record company for 17 years. That we've got a name on the board. Now this is an old building. You can check us at Epic Records now. But the point is, I can walk through this square and there's 4 different buildings that I worked in. 4 of them. I can go right down the street here and stay on the right-hand side, and I'll run into is now CBS News, but formerly was MTV, which I danced on 2 seasons of a show over there. You're unaccomplished, and you're trying to give people the perception that you're not. And I'm trying to tell you, you can keep on trying to fool people as much as you fucking want to, but chick, you had a failed fucking attempt at life. And that's just what it is. And I don't care how many people you lied to, how many people you can pull the wheels over, whatever, you ain't fooling me. And anybody that has that same sentiment that I'm better than everybody, or I got this going on, or whatever, who have you worked for? What have you done? Where do you live at? What are you doing currently? When you ask these questions of people all the time, what you'll find out is one important thing. A very minimal skim at the best. And you can't let that shit affect you. You can't let it affect where you're moving to. You can't let it affect your daily operation. You can't let it affect your businesses. You can't let it affect any of that. And it doesn't matter who it's coming from, whether they're black, white, Spanish, polka dot, whatever the fuck they are. It doesn't matter. These motherfuckers have one trajectory, and that's to take you down and make you into nothing just like them. And if you allow them to do it, like some of the people that come to my comment section, some of those ladies that leave those old disgruntled comments, people that go throughout their daily business to sit back and say, don't donate to that dude. Don't donate to him. Donate to Cynthia G. I saw that woman taking $2,000 sitting there saying to you, Val, I saw that woman yesterday sit on her live and degrade black men to the complexity that I had never seen even a fucking KKK member do it. And then you got these punk, and I will give Cynthia G this. You got punk ass black men out here that sit back and they try to make, I had another one just ride past me on the bike and do this little shit with his nose. You're a piece of shit, dude. I don't give a fuck about you. You know what I mean? But you'll have black dudes and Spanish dudes that will go out of their way to try to raise the power or raise the bar with men of color in society. But when we really break it down, you're going back home to that little hovel. You're going to sit on that little girl's sofa that you done shacked up with and tell her about your dreams as a bike messenger, a food deliverer, or whatever the fuck else. So you can do that acting role all you want to, but reality kicks in. I've never done the acting shit. That's why people in these offices and everywhere else, when I worked in these offices, I used to walk through this motherfucking cuss like a sailor, and they loved me for it. White, black, everybody alike. You know why? Because they said, that guy right there, he's fucking natural. I can trust him. I always used to have that reiterated to me 1,000,000 times over. See, I hate a motherfucker that's in the office and I always able to sniff him out. You know that motherfucker, hey, how are you doing? Oh my God, yeah, isn't it amazing? Yeah. Watch some motherfuckers like that. That's the motherfucker that's gonna set you up. don't care what color you are, what gender you are. Watch for that person in your office space that's always trying to please everybody. Hi, is everybody doing? Okay, great. Watch out for the person that wants to bring food all the time to the office. Hey, everybody, I brought donuts. Everybody, anybody want a donut? That's a setup. And they're going to get you. Trust me. Always be aware of the person in the office environment that's always smiling all the time. That's the sneakiest motherfucker in there. I don't care what nobody said. You might not like the way I said it. Whatever. Anybody that's in the office motherfucking environment that's sitting around and they're ultra nice, ultra smiling. Hi everybody, how's everybody doing? Watch that. That's the barracuda. That's the scorpion. That's the fucking. That's the one right there. That's the one right there. Whenever you hear that octave, oh my God, like that. That's the fucking barracuda. That's the fucking polar bear. That's the fucking grizzly right there, right in front of you. And it's your job to recognize them for who they are. Don't let their fucking cute looks fool you. Don't let their soft octave fool you. The most strenuous motherfuckers that will be in the office environment, all talking this little nice little octave. Oh my God, how are you doing? Yeah, great. The most vicious people in the world. Hitler talked in a good octave. Mussolini talked in a good octave. Stalin talked in a good octave. They have perfect public speaking voices. Most people that attempt to do something to you atrocious always have a good speaking voice. Always have. If it had not been for Hitler having a good public speaking voice, he wouldn't have been as powerful as he was. And I know that sounds sick as it is, but I'm talking about a dynamic. So that's why you never worry about when somebody in an octave or someone makes a suggestion or whatever, because you always have the option to stop them and be like, okay, prove it to me. And I'll tell you 1,000,000 times over, they can't. Most of the time. Most of the time you're talking to somebody that's poor. So most of the time you're talking to somebody that's in debt. And that's why they have that attitude. Because they know it internally themselves. And especially when they with their family doing it, oh, I know I got this motherfucker. You try to prove to your wife you ain't shit. Yes, always be aware of your surroundings. It will never fail you. I am, man. It's one of my biggest things, man, being a comedian. But I try to be honest with you guys as far as the aspect of a lot of people, not only the office environment, because one thing I will home in on, and it goes with the music industry, what Cynthia G said. She was talking about self-esteems. And I think these self-esteems fall on both palettes. I think they fall on the palette of men. I think they fall on the palette of women. I think one of the propulsions that's out there that moves us even more is the internet. You know, the internet, especially when it comes to girls, guys not as much. Guys really don't care. You know what? I showed up at the game. I got my fucking sweats on. You know, the D is hanging, whatever. Girls, they could be at that same game with the boyfriend, and I know this from girls. Girls are fucking vicious. Girls will see another girl, and that girl's got the same shirt, dress on, whatever. I don't like that bitch. They'll sit there and smile with her, have drinks with her, and everything. I don't like that bitch. Let's go. Why? She got the same shirt on I got. Women in the business entry, in the business department are very vicious. Men within the dynamic are very vicious too. But what I see a lot of times is a lot of the women will go head to head with these other women because they're competing with them. Now they're competing with them with the smallest thing or whatever. But what you have to more so pay attention to is when you're competing with somebody that's African American or Latin American in the office space. Because these motherfuckers gonna try to take you down. They're gonna try to take you down under the guise of cooning most of the time. They're gonna be a coon. Oh, they're gonna coon. They're gonna coon. They're gonna tap dance. They're gonna tap dance. They're gonna tap dance and they're gonna say, "What you want us to do, mouse? We sick. We sick, boss." Be aware of these motherfuckers. I spent a lot of time in office buildings. I spent a lot of time in the music industry coming into motherfuckers like this. And they don't just exist in the music world. They don't just exist in the office environment. They also exist in the streets. You're going to have a lot of these old black men and these old Latin men and these old white men as well. They're going to come up against you and they're going to tell you you can't do nothing because you're a motherfucking man of color. And I tell you to tell them, fuck them, and what the fuck have you done? What have you done? Our whole life here on this earth is nothing but an accomplishment and a set of sequential motherfucking reactions of what you have done on this earth as you're here. And don't take no advice, don't take any hindrance from any motherfucker that's 60, 70, 50 plus years old that has never done anything in their entire life, and your accomplishments currently at 20 or 30 supersede them. Because that's what I find a lot of times with myself. A lot of these old guys that sit there and talk all this shit and talk about money or whatever, have absolutely nothing. But they just talk loud. Talking loud does not equate to you being able to pay for dinner. Talking loud and talking obnoxious does not equate to you driving a Lamborghini. Talking loud and talking obnoxious does not equate to your bank account or how much you're in debt currently. Just talking loud. Talking loud. That was even funnier because these two guys were gay and they wouldn't want anybody to judge them for being gay. But they'll walk by a shoe and be obnoxious as shit. You gotta pay attention to people's attributes and their fucking character. Guys, my name is David Lewis. Coming from up here in my former office, Bad Boy Entertainment Worldwide. When we first got international distribution, it was recognized as an international motherfucking entity. And always my family. I'm Bad Boy alumni, always will be. I've been in the crypts and crevices. I've been there when Puff was going to court. Went down there and got interviewed when Puff was going to court, stuck with the company when we had nothing. They thought we were over, okay? Thought we were over. And we stood there and we stood beside Puff or whatever. And even though those same things have not been headed my way, you know, motherfuckers know right now at the company that I'm back on my feet or whatever. Motherfucker ain't even offer me $1,000 to be like, here, buy you some furniture. That's why I got my single for sale. So guys, go purchase my single. It's in the description box. Also, if you'd like to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80. There's also a PayPal link in the description if you'd like to donate that way. I know a lot of people don't have Cash App or whatever. Give something, you know what I mean? Keep the flow going out. Once again, I want to shout out to TMH Global for being able to purchase this new phone, which is fucking dope. The only thing I don't like about this phone is it's smaller than my previous phone. That's the only thing, because I got big fucking hands. So other than that, just the quality, I'm looking at it alone, streaming, it's just beautiful. And I hope you guys see it the same way. Let me go on and shout out everybody before I get out of here. Bad Boy for Life, David Lewis. Ike, you already know. Bad Boy for Life, BBE. I always put it on my jacket. Talking loud, saying that, not even a verb. You heard? You'll always be aware you're surrounded. I like this, guys. Thank you. Juan Perez says I'm a comedian. I am, man. LOS 20,000, exactly. Great Goose Vodka, you already know. That shit makes me throw up. Carol Bates, Vance up Tank, you stupid. What up, Dad? What's going on, Tyler Smith? What's going on? Juan Perez again. Gucci, what's poppin'? Kareem Smith, thank you for tuning in. First Eye Visions, thank you for tuning in. Who else is up in here? Juan, I got you. Miss Magic 0143, I think that's how you say it. Shout out to you. Your girl West, what's going on, mama? Who else is in here? Juan Perez again, what's going on? 360 deals. I can speak on that real quick. 360 deals. I'm glad. That's why I always look at the questions. 360 deals. I'll give you a quick rundown on that. Right across the street here is a Jewish gentleman. His name is Leor Cohen. Leor Cohen is responsible for 300 Entertainment. If y'all don't know 300 Entertainment, this was the first company that Chief Keef was with officially, as far as a national artist. Now, 300 Entertainment and Leor Cohen. Leor Cohen's a big man. That's a tall. I ain't never seen too many Jewish men that tall. He's a tall motherfucker. Shout out to Leor, man, because he's definitely a maverick in this business. Leor introduced the 360 deal. And I don't think necessarily that Leor introduced the 360 deal with bad intention. I think it matriculated itself into something bad. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Leor, when he first introduced the 360 deal, I think what he intentionally wanted to do is he wanted to make sure that the company saw some revenue off a new burgeoning market, which was at that time merchandise, or merch, as many of you guys abbreviated to be. When you saw that angle of merch come in, and at that time, merch being implemented into the music industry wasn't an old format. What it was a new format for hip hop. You know, you never had a lot of these guys with t-shirts and other different products. And then later after that, you saw the launch of companies like ours, like Sean John. We had a Sean John store right across the street from Bryant Park for years. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my girl, Erica. I see you having a baby. She used to be one of the models that was in there, Erica Yen. You know what I mean? That's my homegirl right there. So shout out to Erica Yen, Korean sis. But yeah, you know, like a lot of these clothing companies, Rockaware, all these guys, they matriculated from actually what was Leo Cohen's, if you want to say 360 deal. So basically, when you work this in and you have the clothing aspect, t-shirts, whatever, merchandise, keychains, whatever the fuck it is, if you can work that into the deal projectionally for new sales, what happens is something totally different. What happens is now those projectional sales, now you can get a little bit of revenue off each one in increments. So the smallest increment of dollars, what happens is you can get now, I don't know, let's say off a shirt that costs $10, maybe you can grab in $2, $3. Now, if you do that over the millions, we're talking about some serious revenue generated. So with the 360 deal, I think a lot of companies, what they did was they matriculated on the ideals, because it's just not Leo that's doing it. It was other companies outside of Leo Cohen and Def Jam that were doing this. Now, I don't know too much about Puff doing this because Puff had his own clothing line, which is Sean John. Shout out to Jeff Tweedy, who we've interviewed before, Power Moves Makers. I always say we. Power Moves Makers, which is Sean Prez, my ex-boss, podcast. So y'all make sure y'all go check it out. Also, the Boys Club here on YouTube. And every Wednesday night, I always invite everybody over. You could come over. I'm over there. Rich Dollars, who's formerly of Love and Hip Hop, and Sean Prez. Every Wednesday, 8 o'clock on Instagram Live. We're on, 7 o'clock. We're on there. Make sure y'all come through, man. We talk about relationships and everything like that. It's always well over anywhere from 50,000 to 60,000 people in the fucking live. So come over there, man. Join in the Boys Club. Make sure you subscribe to that. That's spelled with a Z here on YouTube. Make sure y'all check that out, man. There's a lot of information on there. It's a lot different from the format that I do, but you'll see me there. You'll see me in the comments section. You'll see people cracking up at my jokes or whatever. I'm funny over there too. You know what I'm saying? And also shout out to my girl Dale Harrison, comedian Dale Harrison. She's got a CBS project coming up. Make sure y'all go check out Dale Harrison. Tell her Davis sent you over there. That's spelled DELHARRISON. Dale Harrison. Go check out comedian Dale Harrison. She's nationally known. She tours everywhere. Stand-up comedian. Go check her out. She's here on YouTube too. She also has a show that's also part of the Iheart network right now. So she's on syndicated radio as well. So she has a show that she does with her girl Shay out of New Jersey. I think they're on WBLS, or one of the networks of WBLS, Hot 97 Ecosphere. So go check them out. Tell Dale that Davis sent you over there. Check them out. They got good material over there. I try to promote different people, you know what I'm saying, outside of myself. I try to promote a lot of people that are up and coming. I think a lot of people deserve that chance. And Dale, she has definitely deserved that chance. Dale has been on numerous TV spots. She's been in numerous different projects. Her new upcoming project for CBS, I'm glad to see that come to fruition for her. If you need a supporting role, please call a motherfucker, because we know each other in person. I appreciate it, Dale. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, man, that's all I wanted to say to you guys. If there's any more, let me see what else you guys got in here. I just want to make sure I get everybody, because you guys donate to me and everything else, man. I just want to make sure I respect y'all. The girl, Juan Perez, I want to make sure. Yeah, that's everything right there. So guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure y'all hit those like buttons before I get up out of here. As I tell all y'all all the time, love each other, man. It's a holiday season. Try to get us away from, the BS as you can or whatever. But if a motherfucker bother you in the streets, don't hesitate during this holiday season with all these mentally ill motherfuckers out here to drop one to save you and your family the motherfucking despair and the court costs. Sometimes you don't need to wait for the police to show up. Handle that shit on your own. If one of these mentally ill motherfuckers is out here bothering you or your family, set wreck on their asses in front of your family and let your family know, kids, if somebody comes fucking with us, this is what you do. Stop the shit out of them like daddy did and wait for the police to show up and tell them why you did it. Officer, I did it because the motherfucker jumped out and said, boogly, boogly, boo. I didn't know what to do. I was flustered in thought. And I got a cat at home. and he needs to be fed in Connecticut. I'll just play, but don't let nobody get in the movie, y'all. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. I'm going to probably go live one more time. If not, I'll do it when I get home in Connecticut. But I just want to tell you guys, thanks for checking me out and everything like that, man. It's cold out here, so y'all throw something, a little cash up, like give me a little coffee or something. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go live because it's getting a little chilly out here. But other than that, man, great Sunday afternoon with y'all. I may or may not go live back with y'all from New York. If not, I'll do it once I get home. It's starting to get late afternoon here, so I want to take it in a little bit or whatever. But once again, guys, if y'all sign these contracts or whatever, and I'm signing loan fee for my old office here, Bad Boy Worldwide, Bad Boy Entertainment. We ain't been here in, I think, 6-7 years or whatever. But Puff, get this fucking sign off the building, please. Somebody call up Hard Pierre, because I know Puff, he out there in Calabasas now, so he ain't paying attention. But somebody call him up, or call up Hard Pierre, and please tell him take the sign off the building. Everybody know we was here. It's over. You know what I'm saying? And literally the new Bad Boy offices at Epic Records is like literally steps from here. You know what I'm saying? I came to this specific building because not only does it hold a lot of memories for me, but my whole interaction, the bulk of it was in this building and also at 1540 Broadway, which is right down the street that I went to that building before and did a live in front there. So yeah, man, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the people that I worked with in the music industry. I'm proud of a lot of people that I've met in the music industry that kept their same composure, like Sean Prez, like Malcolm Miles, and a list of many others or whatever. And regardless of what I may or may not say about Puff, or as y'all know him as Diddy or whatever, I don't hate that man. You're never gonna get me on here doing no interviews talking about his kids, talking about Kim Porter. Even when I was angry, I didn't express it, and I let niggas know. So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. One of the things I'm grateful for most of all is having a new apartment right now and just moving on and whatever. So man, y'all make sure y'all grab that single. Tell a friend to grab a couple copies of that single, whatever, and donate, man. Like, I want to have one of the best fucking Christmases I have, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I think I fucking deserve it. I spent 2 years on the street, man, and whoo, I'm just now getting back to normal. And I can't tell you how amazing it feels to be out here holiday season and not have the worries that I had 2 years ago. You know, it's just amazing. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit, man. Thanks for tuning in, every last one of y'all. You guys are awesome. And make sure y'all hit those like buttons, man. The social support, man. And cop the single and donate if you can. I'll talk to you guys later. Everything's in the description box and also be in a pinned comment in the comment section.